I didn't see it coming. This wasn't what I wanted. Just kept on running.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be recreating this jumpsuit as requested by some of you. I used an Ankara fabric to recreate mine, but the fabric in the inspiration photo is a crepe fabric. So if this is something you're interested in, definitely keep watching. Do not forget to like and share the video, and let's get right into the tutorial. I'll be working with this Ankara print to recreate this jumpsuit. I used 3 yards and a 3/4, but the fabric in the photo I think is a crepe fabric. So I have here the Ankara print, the zippers. I'm yet to choose between these two colors, then the shoulder pad, which is not here. My fabric is folded into 2 at 17 inches, and I came in by 3 inches to mark my center front line. On these 3 inches, I'll be marking my front crotch extension. This line is my shoulder line, my bust point line at 11 inches, my half length at 17 inches, my crotch depth at 30 inches, then the full length of the jumpsuit at 62 inches. On the shoulder line from the center front, I'll place the neck width of 3.5 inches and half of my shoulder measurement of 8.5 inches, then the neck depth of 6 inches. I'll square out these points and draw in my front neckline. So I'm just taking the measurements round, the neck depth, the neck width, so that I can square out the points correctly and draw in my front neckline. With my tape on 1/2 of my shoulder, I'll go down 8.5 inches for the armhole or bust level and square it out. Remember that this jumpsuit has a shoulder pad, so keep that in mind. So here I'm just placing half of my shoulder measurement to square out the lines correctly. With my tape on 1/2 of my shoulder, I will come down 1.75 inches for my shoulder slope. Then from the center front line on the neckline, I will go out by 2.5 inches for our neckline and shoulder line adjustment and connect these 2 points with a straight line. I'll find the midpoint from the shoulder slope point to the armhole or bust level and make a point there. And on this line, I'll place half of my front chest measurement. Then on the armhole or bust level, I'll place 1/4 of my bust measurement plus half inch for ease. This half inch is borrowed from the bust measurement of the back bodies and will be minus when drafting the back bodies. And with these points, I will draw in my front armhole curve. On my bust point level, I will place half of my bust span of 4 inches. I will place this same measurement on the waistline. Then from the armhole or bust level, I will come down by 2.75 inches for my bust start level and square it down. From that 2.75 inches bust start level, I will come down 1 inch for my bust start intake. Then on my bust level, from the 4 inches half of my bust span, I will go out by 1/2 inch and draw in my bust start. On the waistline, I will place 1/4 of my waist measurement plus 1 inch dart. I will connect half of my bust span to the waistline with a straight line. And on this line on the waistline, I will take 1/2 inch on both sides of the line for my dart intake. On the bust line, I will come down by 1 inch. Then with my tape on the waistline, I will go down by 4 inches and I'll draw in my dart legs. The distance from my waistline to my crotch depth is 12 inches plus 1 inch for ease, which is the 13 inches you're seeing here. The distance from my waistline to under my navel, where I usually wear my trouser, is 2 inches. So if I place my tape at that 2 inches point, you will see that my hip level is 8 inches and my crotch depth is 10 inches. The extra 1 inch is for ease, so you're going to add how much ease you want, but I recommend not adding more than 2 inches. So guys, with this explanation, my hip level from my waistline will be 10 inches, which is what I'm marking out here, and I'll square out the point. On this line, I'll place 1/4 of my hip measurement plus extra 1.5 inches for ease. On the crotch line, from the center front line, I will go out by 2 inches instead of 2.5 inches for my front crotch extension. This is gotten by dividing 1/4 of my original hip measurement by 4, which gives me 2.5 inches. So I'm marking 2 inches for my front crotch extension, and the remaining ½ inch I will add to the back crotch extension. With this point, I will draw in my front crotch curve and connect my side seam. At the hem of the jumpsuit, I will place 1/4 of my hip measurement plus 1.5 inches for ease. I will connect the side seam, draw in the inseam as well, and cut out my pattern. On the center front, I used 1 inch for the zipper allowance and narrowed it down to ½ inch along the crotch seam. On the side seam and at the hem of the jumpsuit, I used 1.5 inches. Do not forget to close in your bust dart when cutting out. On the neckline, shoulder and armhole, I used ½ inch seam allowance, and on the inch seam of the jumpsuit as well, I used ½ inch seam allowance. I've placed the front panel on the back to develop the back, and I've retraced the center front line and shoulder line of the front on the back. Please make sure you have enough room for the back crotch extension, and this line is going to serve as our center back line. On the center back line, I will go up by 1.5 inches and make a point there. And on this point, I will place 3.5 inches. I will neck width and square out the point. This 1.5 inch raise become our back shoulder line. And on this line, I will place 2.5 inches the neck width for our neckline adjustment, just like we did on the front panel. I will extend the shoulder line of the front upwards. So I'm confirming I have half of my shoulder measurement of 8.5 inches here. On this line from the shoulder slope line of the front, I'll place the same 1.5 inches. I will connect this point to the 2.5 inches on the back shoulder line. This line becomes my back shoulder slope, and I'll draw in my back neckline. I'll find the midpoint from the back shoulder slope point to the armhole level or bust level and make a point there. Then I will come out by ½ inch from the front chest measurement for the back chest measurement. Then remember, on the bust measurement, we minus ½ inch from the back bust measurement for the front bust ease. So I'm going to minus that ½ inch from 1/4 of our bust measurement for the back, and with these 3 points, I will draw in my back armhole curve. I will extend the front crotch line for the back. Then from the 2 inches front crotch, I will place 1/4 of my hip measurement divided by 4. For me, is 2.5 inches plus the ½ inch I minus from the front crotch, and that will be 3 inches. So I'll mark that here. Now you're going to add an extra 1 inch or 2 inches for your back rise, the same way we do when we draft the back pattern of our trouser. I didn't add that here because I didn't fold enough fabric, and I didn't want to start redrawing and retracing all that I've done, but I got that fixed while sewing, and I'll show you guys. So this is what I have drafted already on my fabric, and I've indicated all the lines: the bust point, waistline, hip line, and the crotch line. This is my 2 inches front crotch extension. So for the back crotch extension, I'm going to place 1/4 of my hip measurement divided by 4 plus the ½ inch I minused on the front crotch, and this gave me 3 inches. So I'm going to place 3 inches from this 2 inches point. Now you're going to add that extra 1 or 2 inches for the back rise, just like we do when we draft the back pattern of our trouser, and you're going to add that here. That's what I didn't do on my pattern because I didn't fold enough fabric. To draw the inseam of the back pattern, from the inseam of the front pattern, I came out by 2 inches because I wanted more volume and connected the points. Then I measured the inseam of the front and minus 0.25 inch from it. I place this measurement following that 2 inches line and tilt my tape till it touches that extra 2 inches line on the crotch that I squared down. I made a point there and connected the lines. So once you've added your extra 1 inch or 2 inches as the case may be, you measure the inseam of the front jumpsuit and minus 0.25 inch from this measurement. Whatever you get, you use that to mark the inseam of the back. In my own case, I went out by 2 inches from my front inseam because I wanted more volume and connected the point. Then on this line, I placed my front inseam minus 0.25 inch like you see me doing in the video and connected the point. If you measure the distance from the original crotch line to where the back inseam stop, you will see that there is a ½ inch difference, which is totally fine. At the point where the center back line touches the crotch line, I will come out by 2.5 inches, and with this point I will draw in my back crotch line. So guys, this is my jumpsuit all sewn, and I want to confirm to you guys the extra inches I added on my back crotch to balance up my crotch line. So I'm just highlighting the crotch line and the center back line, and this side is the back panel of the jumpsuit. This is the extension I added to balance up my crotch line. I added extra 2 inches for my back rise. So if you measure the crotch line here, you'll see that it measured 7 inches. So my total back crotch length measured 7 inches. I will go ahead and trim my lines. So guys, another thing I did was on the waistline of the back panel, I came in by ½ inch and curved it back into the waistline to remove any bulge or fold. Still on the waistline, I added an extra 1 inch dart on each panel, but it's optional. That's 2 inches dart on the front panel and 2 inches dart on the back panel. Just in case one adds weight and you still want to rock this jumpsuit, all you have to do is open up the darts and you still have your weight snatched with the first dart. So guys, you can see it here on my jumpsuit. I'm highlighting my seam line with a chalk. That's my waistline there. You can see my extra dart, then 1/4 of my waist circumference of 8 inches. So guys, that's practically all I did for my back panel. I'll go ahead and trim my lines. Do not forget to close in the bust dart on the front panel while cutting out your pattern and indicate the waistline on the back panel. Then from my waistline, I came down at 3 inches for my pocket opening. I went ahead and cut out my pattern using the same seam allowance as on the front panel. I have cut out all my pieces. I have the back and the front facing. I have 4 pieces of pockets here. I have my sleeves. The length of my sleeve measured 10.5 inches, ½ inch to join on the shoulder, and the seam allowance at the hem I've already ironed it in. I used 1.5 inches. The band of my sleeve measured 8 inches plus 1 inch joining allowance. I have this long strip for the belt. This is optional. The width measured 5 inches and unfold measured 2.5 inches. Then I have my front and back panels. I'm going to start by stitching close the darts, the waist dart on the front and back panel, the bust dart. I'll stitch close the center back line all the way down to the crotch to 1.5 inches away to the end of the crotch, and I'll also stitch close the front crotch as well. Before I do that, you can see here that my total back crotch extension measured 5.5 inches, ½ inch for joining allowance. Like I earlier mentioned, I added that extra inches for the back rise. I added an extra 2 inches, making the total length of my back crotch 7 inches. So I'll go ahead and stitch close those darts. So guys, I've done that. I've stitched close the dart. I also stitched close the front crotch and left about 1.5 inches away to the end of the crotch, and I did the same on the back panel. The next thing I'm going to do is to install my pocket. So from my waistline I came down at 3 inches for my pocket opening. I've installed the pockets and this is what it's looking like. I'll go ahead and install the zip. So this is the one I ended up choosing. Then I will join the front and back panels on the shoulder. So guys, I've installed the zipper and this is what it's looking like. I've also attached the front and back panels on the shoulder. The next thing I'm going to do is to attach the sleeves and stitch close the sides of the jumpsuit. I have attached the sleeves and stitched close the sides of the jumpsuit, and this is what we have. I'll go ahead and stitch close the crotch and the inseam of the jumpsuit. In one of my pants video, one of you asked me why I leave some inches at the crotch area. The reason is because I find this method more effective when it comes to stitching close the crotch of any pant or short. So the first thing I do is to attach the front and back panels together first on both sides and overlock the inseam. So once my stitches are made, I'll open it up like so. So the two front panels will be on one side and the two back panels will be on the other side. I will match up the points and run a straight stitch to stitch close the crotch, make my notches and overlock the raw edge. So guys, I've done all that I said. The next thing I'm going to do is to hem the jumpsuit and assemble the facing. So guys, I've hemmed the hem of the jumpsuit and this is what it's looking like. We are gradually coming to the end of this tutorial. I have also assembled my facing. I'll go ahead and pin my facing in place with the right side of my facing to the right side of my jumpsuit. Take it to my machine, attach with a straight stitch, notch round the curved corners, top stitch the seam allowance on the lining and finish off the neckline. So guys, I've done all that I said. I have piped the neckline and this is what my jumpsuit is looking like. This part of the lining of the neckline, I'm going to tack it down or hold it down with a hemming gum. I have also prepared my belt, but like I earlier mentioned, this is optional. So the last but not the least is to attach the shoulder pads. So these are the shoulder pads I'll be using. The height of my shoulder pad measured 0.75 inch. So if your shoulder pad is like mine without any covering, you go ahead and make it covering with any fabric of your choice. I'll fold the shoulder pad in half and mark the center on both ends. I'll center this point on the shoulder seam of the jumpsuit, making sure the edge of the shoulder pad matches the edge of the shoulder seam of the jumpsuit, and I'll tack it down. I'll do the same on the other end, matching up the points to the shoulder seam of the jumpsuit, and once everything is well positioned, I will tack it down, and that's practically all there is to this tutorial. Do not forget to like and share the video. Leave all your questions in the comment section. Do not forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. A bientôt!